Hey, TPT sellers, I have made a huge mistake about TPT search. And some of you are watching and saying, yeah, of course you have. So if the mistake I talk about today isn't the one that you're thinking of, just reach out to me and let me know what else I've got wrong. But this mistake changes the way that I think about TPT and the way that I coach clients. So TPT loads the search volume on their website if you know where to look for it. So I'm on the TPT website. I'm going to right click and click on inspect. It's going to open up a side panel at the top. I'm going to click on the arrows and I'm trying to find the tab called network. In the network tab, there's a filter. So I'm going to type Algolia, which is the name of the search engine they use. And then I'm going to type a search term in the search bar at the top, like Valentine's Day. And if I click on the last query and then click on the preview tab, I can see the information that's been communicated between my web browser and the server. So I'm going to click on this triangle beside results. You want to look at the first one, 0. And when I open up that triangle, I see an answer here called hits. So I'm going to open up that triangle here. And now I can see some of the words. If I click on the triangle beside the 0, I can see the word is Valentine's Day and it has a popularity score of 8339. If I open up the next keyword and click on that triangle, I can see that keyword is Valentine's Day activities with a popularity score of 3,285. So that's how you can look up the popularity of any keyword on TPT for free. You can just go in by yourself and check it out. Now, if you didn't know how to find that search volume on your own, can you please like this video? Because it lets me know that you want more content like this. Now, the Algolia manual tells us about this popularity score. If you've subscribed to the channel for a while, you know that I do a deep dive into the Algolia manual to understand the back end of how TPT search works. I've reported in the past that the Algolia manual tells us that it gives the suggestions based on popularity, the number of searches in the last 30 days. So they have a query suggestion index that we just saw in action. And when it returns the popularity, we see that this search index is returning the number of searches in the last 30 days for the suggestion. But I was chatting with a TPT seller who loves data as much as I do, and they showed me some pretty convincing numbers that I'm wrong. It's not 30 days. And in this episode, I'm going to show you why I'm wrong and how that makes a difference in TPT search land. Hi, my name is Mike Fuchigami. I am the host of the SEOTpreneur YouTube community. This episode is for TPT hamsters and hawks who are trying to level up their products onto page 1 so their products get seen and people buy their awesome resources. If you're at this stage of the game, you should check out the self-serve data tool, which only costs $147 for the year, and it comes with free training. This Sunday, I'll be teaching the warm-up class for the March bootcamp. Some of you are thinking, wow, $147 sounds like it's a lot. I hear you. If you go to selfservedatatool.com and click on bootcamp, at the very bottom of the page, it talks about how $147 is expensive. The real question is whether you've made more than $12 a month using the tool and the information from the bootcamp. If you're later on in the game and you used to be crushing it, but your sales are kind of dropping, you're not alone. I actually chat with a number of TPT sellers who are watching these videos exactly like you because they have the exact same problem. Usually at this stage of the game, you're really concerned about privacy. You probably have a lot of products, you're overwhelmed and you don't know where to start. And in that case, just reach out to me for one-on-one consulting. All right, let's talk about this big mistake that I made. I used to think that search volume on TPT was based on the last 30 days. It turns out it's actually based on the last 7 days. Some of you are thinking, duh, Mike, of course it's based on the last 7 days. If it was based on the last 30 days, then people would be talking about New Year resolutions at the end of January. And of course, hindsight is 2020. Teaching is very seasonal. So it makes sense that TPT would want to narrow down this time period. So I've done a little bit of tracking and I want to share my results about Valentine's Day, which recently passed. So I've been tracking the popularity of Valentine's Day for the last few days. On the bottom of this chart, we have date. On the vertical axis, we have popularity. And popularity is the number that I showed you how to find out at the start of this video. So the popularity of Valentine's Day on the 14th was 37,579. And then on Saturday, the popularity went up to 28,767. And it stayed around there on Sunday. On Monday, it dipped down below where it was on Valentine's Day. And then we see a descent. So the two takeaways from this graph is, one, the peak of the keyword is higher after the event of the day. And then the second thing to notice is we dropped down significantly. Today is Friday, February 21st. The popularity is only 8,339. So it's come down a fair bit in only a couple of days. So I played with some numbers to try to get a sense of whether this window is 7 days long or 30 days long. Let's play with some numbers. So in this game, I said, hey, I'm going to record the number of searches for this keyword every single day. So on day 1, 0 people searched for this keyword. On day 2, 1 person searched for this keyword. On day 3, I added the 2 previous numbers to get 1. On day 4, I added the 2 previous numbers to come up with 2. So this is just the Fibonacci sequence and sort of pretending that, hey, people are getting more and more interested in this keyword until the peak amount happens on day 22 when 10,946 people look up this keyword. And then after that event, I pretend that, hey, only 10% of people actually search up that keyword the next day. So on day 23, only 1,095 people look for this keyword. On day 24, only 100 people look for this keyword. On day 25, only 10 people look for this keyword. And then day 26, really, people aren't looking for this keyword anymore. So what would it look like if the popularity score that we get back from TPT is based on the last 7 days of search traffic? Well, here's day 7, and if I add up the numbers for the last 7 days here, we get a popularity score of 20. The next day would count up the searches based on the last 7 days, so from day 2 to day 8, and the popularity score would be 33. So if I extend those numbers, we can see the popularity score for this keyword might be 27,670 on that special day, day 22, whether that's Valentine's Day or St. Patrick's Day or whatever the day is. And if I scroll down, we can see that the popularity score for the next 7 days are pretty high, and then they drop down quite quickly. So what would it look like if the popularity score was for the last 30 days? So on day 30, I'm going to add a formula to add the search traffic for the last 30 days. And then day 31 would be adding the search volumes for every day for the last 30 days. And if I extend that pattern up and down, we can see that on day 22, we have a popularity score of 28,656. It peaks after the day of the event, day 22. But you can see that the numbers are really high for the next 30 days, and then they taper off. If we plot the numbers, this is what it looks like. This blue line is showing us the exact search volume every single day. And the peak here is on day 22. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to map day 22 onto February 14th. And if we look at a popularity score based on the last 7 days, it would look like this. In this model, on February 14th, we had 10,946 people looking for this keyword. And we see up here, the popularity score is based on the last 7 days, and it peaks slightly after Valentine's Day, and then it starts to drop right away. Now, if we look at the popularity score for the last 30 days, the curve looks like this. And we can see that it really does plateau at the top for a long period of time. So if this was the case, Valentine's Day would have a huge popularity score right into the start of March. And of course, if that was the case, then teachers would complain and say, well, why is Valentine's Day still getting suggested in March? Because it happened weeks ago. So we're probably looking at a 7-day window instead of a 30-day window because that drop happens relatively quickly. If we plot the actual search volume for Valentine's Day, it looks like this. The green curve shows the popularity score returned by the TPT website, and we can see that the shape of the curve really matches that 7-day window. And when I was first told this, I was really surprised because the manual doesn't talk at all about the ability to change the number of dates in the time window. And I spent a lot of time looking to see if I could find a setting that allows TPT to change the window of time. There doesn't seem to be a setting, so then I asked ChatGPT, if I wanted to create an Algolia query suggestion index based on 7 days, not the default 30 days, how could I do it? ChatGPT is awesome. It scours the internet for some ideas. And basically the idea is to create your own custom search database based on the last 7 days of search volume traffic instead of the default last 30 days. And ChatGPT is suggesting that you could change the index that Algolia uses for query suggestions. Now, I haven't independently verified this. I don't have an Algolia account to play with. If I click on sources, it looks like there are some hard-coded things, like you can't change how often this query index is generated. It's rebuilt once every 24 hours. But if this is true and TPT is able to import their own query suggestion database, then yeah, they could set the window to be 7 days or 5 days or 30 days. So why is this information important? Well, the first thing is that Mike makes mistakes, which makes sense. He's human. Everyone makes mistakes. And even though he sounds like he knows what he's talking about, and he's basing it on things that he learns from the manual, learning is an ongoing process. So as we dive deep into the TPT search engine in this channel, we're going to discover that things that we thought were true aren't actually true. And even if they're true now, it doesn't mean that they'll be true forever because TPT can change the search algorithm. The second takeaway is that, hey, even though the manual says that you can't do it, doesn't mean that there isn't a workaround to do it the way that you want to do it. Which brings me to the most important TPT data takeaway, which is that TPT thinks the last 7 days are important. We know this because the default setting for the search queries is the last 30 days. TPT went out of their way to change it to the last 7 days. If the last 7 days mean more for search queries, then I can imagine that they're taking this idea and applying it to their SEO ranking system. Hey, the last 7 days of conversion events is super important. You have a bunch of sales on this product? Awesome, let's give it a boost. Your product hasn't been selling well in the last 7 days? You stay where you are. Now that's what my gut tells me. And I know other personalities in TPT land are talking about how conversion rate and sales will get you to the top. And I used to think that too, but recently a TPT seller showed me some data where they got a bunch of sales and they didn't move up in rank position. And I have to dig a little bit deeper into this to try to figure out under what circumstances can you get a bunch of sales and not move up in rank. Recently, I've been doing an experiment where I'm driving Facebook ad traffic to a product, getting sales to see what happens to TPT rank. And you can see here at the beginning, I was at rank 44 and I had 0 units sold. And then this was a successful Facebook ad campaign and people started buying because of the Facebook ad. And my rank went from 46 to 36, and now it's at position 10 on the first page. Today it bumped up to position 9, and this resource has made 36 sales and has 0 reviews. So I do think that sales are a ranking factor, but I'm just really confused because I've seen data where a seller got a lot of sales and they didn't move up in rank. So the question is why? What's the difference? I love this game. If you learned something new, can you please share this video because it helps the channel to grow, which encourages me to make more content that helps you sell on TPT. If you have any questions, leave a comment below, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye now.